A pinch of story, a spoon of exaggeration, and a whole lot of fun.
Hey guys, it's Jeff Brown over at the house, and I got a story for you today that's not a funny story. It's kind of weird and maybe a little bit disturbing. So brace yourself. This happened years ago. My wife and I were young. We had this one-bedroom apartment that we shared, and it was a nice little apartment down by the beach in this nice complex. The apartment we had was upstairs, it overlooked the pool. Really just a nice place. We lived there probably a year at the time and knew some of the neighbors. It was a good place to live. And so one night we're sitting there, and we're watching TV, and we hear this knock at the door. And it's a pretty incessant knock. I mean, it's bum, bum, bum. It's knock, 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 and I look over at my wife and I'm like, who is that? She looks at me like, I don't know. So I stand up and I walk over to the door and I look through the little peephole and I see this woman out there, and I'm kind of looking through the peephole and she's knock, 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 and I'm looking through the peephole and she's like, not saying anything, just knock, knock, knocking, and I don't see anybody else. So I open the door and she pushes past me. Like the second I open the door, she just pushes the door open and pushes past me, and she runs into our apartment. My wife looks and stands up real quick, and she runs past me and goes into our kitchen, around the kitchen island, and hunkers down behind it. And my wife and I are looking at each other like, what the heck? And she goes, they're after me. So right away I thought, who's after you? But I shut the door behind me because this woman looked relatively harmless, but whoever was after her, I don't know. But I thought, I don't want any part of that. So I shut the door right away and flipped the deadbolt. And then my wife is already, walking towards the kitchen. We're both over there and we're looking at this woman and we're like, what's going on? And she says, they're after me. They're in the bushes. They've been out there for a while. And I just had to get out of there, And we're like, what's going on? And this woman is shaking. I mean, she's shaking. She's telling us this in a convincing manner that there is somebody out there, and my wife's trying to comfort her. She's just beside herself. No, there's no comforting her. I mean, she's just, keeps going on and on. They're out there. They're coming to get me, So I start, a little bit thinking maybe she's, not quite right because she just is so scared. But at the same time, like I said, I'm kind of thinking maybe somebody is out there, or maybe somebody's coming after her. And we keep asking her, who's out there? Who's coming after you? And she wouldn't really say who it was. She just said, people, they're coming after her. And that's why we thought kind of a little bit something. But, then we were asking her, well, were they at your apartment, And she goes, yeah, they were outside my apartment, And she goes, and my boyfriend won't do anything about it, And we're like, your boyfriend's in your apartment? And she goes, yeah, he's still there. He's sleeping. I go, he's sleeping? And she goes, yeah, he's sleeping. She goes, he's been acting weird lately. I don't know what's wrong with him, And we're like, this is the weirdest thing we've ever heard or seen or been exposed to at this point. So she keeps on, and we're not really sure what to do. I mean, she's hunkered down behind the kitchen island. She won't really stand up or come out of there. She keeps telling me, I'm looking out the front door. I'm not opening the door because she keeps going, don't open the door, don't open the door. So I'm looking through the peephole. Then I'm going over by our windows, and I'm trying to look out the windows and see if I see anybody out there. And no, there's nothing. I don't see anything. She's like, they're out there. They're out there. They're out there. So we're just not sure what to do. I mean, if you've ever been in a situation like this, put yourself in my shoes. What exactly do you do? Here this woman is. She's burst into our home. We're not really sure what is going on. We think maybe she's a little bit, disturbed, but we don't know for sure. So what do you do now? Are you going to try to push her out the door and tell her, well, you got to leave. You can't stay here. Or what do we do? So there we sit. So my wife and I are talking and we're saying, yeah, what should we do? I don't know. She seems pretty upset. So this complex we live in, it has this 24-hour security service, and we have the number to it. So we weren't really sure to call the police. We thought about that, but then we thought, well, let's call this 24-hour security service and see if they'll come by. So we give them a call, and they call us back, that we had to leave a message. They call us back a couple minutes later. She's still freaking out. And we tell them, a little bit about what's going on, and they said, okay, we'll be right over. So a few minutes later, my wife's starting to get her to calm down just the tiniest bit. She still is behind the kitchen island. I mean, she's not coming out, from the kitchen. And right then there's a pound on the door, and it's the security guys. And she freaks out again, see, there they are. They're here. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's the security guys. We called them the security people, And she's looking all wild, so I go over there and sure enough, it's the security guys or whatever. And so, I open the door and I tell them what's going on. And the one guy says, step out here, and the other guy comes in to talk to my wife and this gal. And she's not consoled at all by the fact that now these two security guys are there. Nothing, she's still just as scared as you could be. The one guy calls me out on the porch and he says, listen, we know who this woman is. We've been called over here several times by her, by other people in the complex. She's got some problems, And she goes, yeah, or the guy tells me she's got some problems. And I said, well, what am I to do with it? What am I supposed to do? He goes, well, we're going to try to work it out here, and I'm going to go over and talk to her boyfriend, and there was some back and forth. So he knows the boyfriend's over there or whatever. And he says, I'm going to go over there and try to make contact with the boyfriend and see what he can tell us. And I'll be right back over. If she can just stay in your house for a few minutes more, I'll leave my partner here and then, we'll go from there. So I go back inside. This guy heads down the stairs. And now the security guy and my wife, or this other security guy, are talking to this lady and trying to calm her down and telling her it's okay. And my wife's kind of got her standing up and she's kind of moving towards the couch a little bit, and I come back in, I lock the door right away behind her, and I'm telling her too, now there's three of us here. Nobody's going to hurt you. Nobody's going to get you. She's still not really buying into this. And at this point, my wife and I, are looking at each other, and I pull my wife aside a little bit and tell her real quick what the security guy said. And my wife's like, like she agrees that this woman has some challenges in life, and at this point, all we're trying to do, we don't want to be unkind, but I think it was like Friday night, we just want to get this woman kind of out of our house so we can enjoy watching our program, right? Which I don't know if that sounds insensitive, but you've never been there. If you've been there and had somebody bust into your house like this, then you realize that the things that she's concerned about might not even be real. You start thinking, okay, where are we going from here? So anyway, pretty quick, the other security guard knocks at our door, and he comes back in, and he tells me he went over there, he made contact with the boyfriend, he talked to her, he's telling me that she's crazy, and there's nobody after her, there's nobody in the bushes, there's nobody coming to get her, and she does this from time to time. And I said, well, is he going to come over here and get her? He goes, no. He goes, he's in bed. He's got to work early in the morning. And he said he's tired of this. So he basically just says, whatever she does, but I'm not going to get mixed up in it. So we're sitting there, and the security guard's kind of telling us, well, we're security. We can't really take a hold of her. I go, no. I go, you got to do something. You got to we got to do something. We got to call the police then or something. I mean, we can't sit here with this woman inside her house. And they're like, yeah, let us talk to her. So anyway, they go back in there and talk to her, and my wife and I are kind of standing off to the side, and they get close to her, and they're kind of calmly talking to her and telling her, it's going to be okay. We'll go back over there with you. We'll take you back over to your apartment. We'll check the bushes, all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to talk her into the fact that she's okay. And me and my wife are just rooting for this gal to, to like be okay with this and go back out, because now at this point, I mean, we're, I know I've been telling you the story for a number of minutes, but we're like an hour into this by now. An hour this woman's been in our house frantic, So anyway, they talk her into it, and she tells us that she's sorry. She starts apologizing. She's sorry, I'm really just worried. I just am really scared. And we told her, well, it's understandable. I go, if you thought there's somebody in the bushes, she goes, I'm just really sorry, and they're like, you can come with us. And me and my wife were like, yes, you can go with them. You're probably okay. You're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So at some point, this woman goes out the door. And once she walks out the door, we're like saying things like, well, you'll be okay, all right, well, you'll be good, and then I shut the door. Okay, thank you guys. We're thanking the security guards. And then, boom, we shut the door and lock it. And that was the end of that story. And just like it started, as quickly as it started, it was over. And my wife and I looked at each other and we're just like, what just happened? We just were out of our minds with it. So we sat back down on the couch and kind of, at some point we simmered down a little bit. I was pacing, I think, just saying, I can't believe what just happened. But at some point we kind of caught our breath, and I think we turned the TV back on. And that's the story of the time this disturbed woman pushed her way into our apartment. So there you go. I don't know what that's worth, but that's what I got for you today. And listen, thanks a lot for listening to me. I appreciate you. God bless you today. And listen, I'll be talking to you soon.
That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and hey, tell a friend.